Tanse, welcome to APTN National News Daytime on this November 10th. I'm Chris Nachkate. Thank you for joining us. Saturday was Indigenous Veterans Day. It's a day to recognize and honor the courage, service, and sacrifice of First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people who have served in the Canadian military. There were ceremonies being held across the country, including in Toronto. A special ceremony was held at Toronto's City Hall. Canada's Minister of Veterans Affairs says 12,000 Indigenous people played a role in conflicts in the 20th century that included both World War I and World War II. A sacred fire was lit during the ceremony, and there was a sharing circle where people spoke about their or their families' contributions. Ontario's Lieutenant Governor Edith Dumont and Toronto's Mayor Olivia Chow were among the attendees, and including spiritual elder Philip Cody.
I think about the young man and woman that took that decision and make the ultimate sacrifices, their bravery, and remembering them. And as we do that, we also think about what role do we play in creating more harmony and peace so that we're not faced with more death and suffering.
I like the fact that in Toronto we gather together. It's an amazing city where we can gather together, and today recognizing the contribution of the Indigenous veterans was an important moment for me as a citizen, as a Lieutenant Governor of Ontario as well, towards reconciliation. It's one step further.
Sharing of our culture is really important, and recognizing the veterans and warriors who participated in all the wars that defended this land we're on since the War of 1812.
And Prime Minister Mark Carney posted on X on Saturday saying, "Our freedom was won by brave women and men who answered the call, including the heroic First Nations, Inuit, and Métis members of the Canadian Forces. On Indigenous Veterans Day, we honor the sacrifice of those who have served, those who serve today, and their families." The Royal Canadian Legion Branch 171 held an Indigenous Veterans Day ceremony on Saturday morning at the Veterans Cenotaph in Alliston, Ontario. The community gathered to pay tribute to all Indigenous veterans, past and present. Among those in attendance was a man named Freddie, a local veteran who served in the Armed Forces Reserve during the early 1980s while attending college.
My grandfather fought in World War I, and my uncle fought in World War II, and my sister was a peacekeeper. And myself, when I joined, I was infantry, and I enjoyed the armed forces.
I found out the amount of Aboriginal people contributed in history with the war. I was shocked by the amount. We're talking thousands. And that's, World War I, World War II, and now I can understand where history is, that we contributed greatly.
In Calgary, the Field of Crosses marked Indigenous Veterans Day with a sunrise ceremony that blended decorated veterans with traditional practices, including the burning of sweetgrass. CTV's Kevin Green reports.
Days shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
With the smell of sweetgrass burning in the air, the Field of Crosses celebrated Indigenous Veterans Day Saturday morning. In a special ceremony, Eugene Yellowknife accepted his Uncle Gordon's medals.
He didn't come home, no. Today, that's why these are very emotional, to get into the family, and these are the originals. I'm so emotional. I wish my dad was here to see them. He always wanted these.
Gordon Yellowfly's name is on one of the crosses here in the field. He was killed December 27th, 1943 in Italy.
My dad was only 9 years old when he left, and the last thing Gordon told my dad was, "I'll see you, I'll be back." And that was the last thing he told him was, "Gator Matson, I'll see you, I love you."
Like all Indigenous soldiers, Yellowfly gave up his status and treaty rights to fight on behalf of Canada.
Sacrificed a lot, and they lost a lot, and it's sad, but they did it for Canada.
Indigenous Veterans Day was introduced in 1994. The Field of Crosses holds ceremonies at sunrise and sunset every day leading up to its final ceremony on Remembrance Day. Kevin Green, CTV News, Calgary.
And on Thursday, the Manitoba's NDP government passed Bill 210 to officially mark November 8th as Indigenous Veterans Day. Good news for those who attended Winnipeg's annual event on Friday that honors Indigenous veterans. This year now marks 31 years for the ceremony in the city's core. Here's some sights and sounds from that event that our T.R. Wheatley prepared.
This event would not have happened if it were not for veterans themselves who argued for a special day for Aboriginal veterans. We have a proud military history here in Manitoba. We also know is that Indigenous veterans were not treated the same as other veterans. Through consultation and hard work with so many veterans and community advocates, I am incredibly proud to say that as of 8:55 p.m. last night, building on a resolution that was passed in 1993, November 8th is now known as Indigenous Veterans Day, officially in law.
The Honorable Ian Bushy, Minister of Natural Resources, Indigenous Future, will now lay the wreath.
Métis Nation Saskatchewan held their Indigenous Veterans Day ceremony ahead of the official day. It was held at the Batage Festival grounds, the site of the Louis Riel and Gabriel Dumont's last stand during the Northwest Resistance. The first cold, windy and large snowfall in Saskatchewan didn't stop MNS officials from laying down wreaths at the Batage Memorial Site. The ceremony honored those who fought and died alongside Louis Riel and Gabriel Dumont, as well as all soldiers who have served to protect communities across Canada. Saskatchewan RCMP are in need of the public's help in locating a number of suspects who allegedly shot a man in a First Nation. They are still on the loose in a green Jeep. On Wednesday, November 5th at around 7 p.m. at Mosquito Grizzly Bears Head Leadman First Nation, RCMP received a report of a man shot during an interaction in a parking lot outside a community facility. The suspect was reportedly in a dark green Jeep Wrangler SUV. RCMP say the injured man then got into a tan-colored Jeep and both vehicles left the scene. Shortly after, the two Jeeps met again in a business parking lot along Highway 4 where a firearm was discharged again, this time from the tan Jeep. The man who had been shot was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries and later released. Him and a woman have both been arrested on outstanding warrants. RCMP is still looking for the occupants of this green Jeep. The vehicle is the same model seen here in this picture. It's a dark green 2011 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited SUV. No license plate was provided. If anyone has information on this incident or knows where this vehicle is, you're asked to contact RCMP or Crime Stoppers. A children's book that explores the impacts of the 60s scoop was recently released. That story after the break. Welcome back. A children's book was recently released telling the story of Nakuset and her experience surviving the 60s scoop. Nakuset is a well-known Montreal Indigenous rights activist. As our reporter Savannah Craig reports, I Am My Name is a story about loss and how love reconnected her to her sister that she was separated from as a child.
I am a little Cree girl. I know this somewhere deep inside. Every time I look at the sky, every time I look at myself.
As a child, Nakuset was told to deny who she was.
I tell my father and mother, I am a little Cree girl. No, you are not. Yes, I am.
Now she's revisiting these memories in I Am My Name, memories that are painful for Nakuset.
We were plucked like tiny trees from our roots. We were carried away by a dark bird that covered the sun, far, far away from where we came.
It pretty much devastated my family, the whole 60s scoop.
Thank you so much for being here on this day. My name is Nakuset.
Nakuset is the executive director of the Native Women's Shelter. She says her experience made her want to help others.
Looking at other people who were also part of the 60s scoop and how they struggled, and just knowing that I needed to, I didn't need to, but I felt like I should try to create services.
Nakuset is Cree, with roots in Lac La Ronge, Saskatchewan. She was adopted by a Jewish family in Montreal.
This is your new name. That name is not me. I do not want a new name. I need to find my sister so she can tell them I have a name.
Her book gives children a perspective on the 60s scoop. Nakuset's story is brought to life by illustrator Shinawa Gao, also known as One Dove.
I had to give her all kinds of pictures of me when I was little.
Gao's mother was also a 60s scoop survivor.
So reading her story, it's like I understood her pain so much. I got her loneliness. I knew that desire, that drive to be with her sister again. I really wanted to put emphasis on that feeling of what it's like to be in a completely foreign place, hearing completely foreign language around people that all of a sudden, are trying to pretend to be your family.
For Nakuset, it's difficult revisiting the images of those she has lost, especially her older sister, Sonia.
I find it's really, it's hard, for me, it's hard to read.
Including her bubby, Yiddish for grandmother, a person who is a beacon in Nakuset's life.
Where will I go? Somewhere I have a big sister. My bubby says, I will help you find her.
Sonia never stopped looking for Nakuset.
My sister made it her mission to find me. But that in the end, it actually broke her. I feel like the whole 60s scoop just killed her, literally.
Nakuset reunited with her sister 30 years ago. However, Sonia took her life in 2018. For Nakuset, the book celebrates the legacy of her late sister.
And I'm the last one standing, so I have to keep continuing. And the book's dedicated to her and my puppy. So I hope for others who read it, it brings healing.
The book can be purchased at Indigo or on Amazon. Savannah Craig, APTN National News, Montreal.
We now head to the Northwest Territories, where the 19th Yellowknife International Film Festival was in full swing this past week. Our APTN video journalist Bruce De La Cruz reports on the Indigenous talent among the festival's lineup this year.
Uwik Sarangitara, or Wrong Husband, directed by veteran filmmaker Zacharias Kunuk, was the first feature-length film on opening night. The film, which won Best Canadian Feature Film at the 2025 Toronto International Film Festival, sheds a light on traditional Inuk arranged marriages.
The subtlety of how it was filmed, and it's like it didn't go out of its way to explain anything, so you just got to watch the culture unfold and happen and how they would have lived. And I think that is really important, that we just got to be there, be silent, and witness it.
Maya LePage is head of Western Arctic Moving Pictures, a Yellowknife nonprofit and the festival's organizer. She says they focus on northern productions, especially Indigenous ones.
there's not a lot of venues where it's dedicated to like northern film and northern filmmaking, and so having a venue specific for that, along with other international films and highlighting things that are important and need to be seen, is really like a privilege for us.
The evening rounded out with Nika and Madison, a crime thriller directed by Eva Thomas from Walpole Island First Nation in southern Ontario.
Until we understand what we're up against, I want to be the one controlling the narrative.
Nika Madison is about two Indigenous women who have an encounter with the law and then they decide to go on the run. So it's about their journey as they try to avoid capture, but at the heart of the film is really about their relationship.
Thomas sees filmmaking as another way of educating people on Indigenous cultures.
Any filmmaker takes you into their world. You get invited to a space that you wouldn't normally have access to. Many people don't have access to the res, but they can come see my movie and they can get a taste of it. And so I think that if you come on a ride with Nika Madison, that you'll get to see a little bit of their life, their lifestyle, and what makes them Indigenous and what makes them different and what makes them the same.
She says spotlighting Indigenous film creates understanding between different people and cultures.
I like to think of movies as like machines of empathy. Movies have the ability to garner empathy and understanding. And in filmmaking, if we could tell a story through the use of film or television and other people have some sort of empathy or understanding, then I think it goes a long way to the relationships we have out here in the world, real world.
The Yellowknife International Film Festival is presenting 13 feature-length films, 38 shorts, and a variety of filmmaking workshops until November 9th. For a full list of scheduled events, visit the Western Arctic Moving Pictures website at wamp.ca. Bruce De La Cruz, APTN National News, Yellowknife.
Thank you, Bruce. We now want to give you the results to last week's web poll questions. Our first question was, will bail and sentencing reform help lower the rate of violent crime? 39% voted yes, 47% voted no, and 14% were unsure. Our second question was, does your community have a plan to combat the opioid crisis? 11% said yes, 61% said no, and 28% were unsure. And our last question, do you think the federal budget will help people living in Canada? 16% said yes, 53% said no, and 31% were unsure. Thanks for taking the time to take your votes. Go to our website at aptnnews.ca/poll to see this week's new poll questions. Billions of dollars in federal contracts meant to support Indigenous businesses across the country are actually only flowing to 24 firms in the Ottawa region. That story when we come back. Stay with us. Well, all in for staying with us. St. John's 4, Charlottetown rain and 7. Cartwright cloudy and 1. La Grande River -2. Saskatchewan showers and 1. Quebec City rain and 3. Toronto -3. Ottawa -2. Sudbury -6. Sioux Lookout -5. -1 in Thompson, God's Lake -6. Winnipeg -4, Brandon -3. -1 in Regina, +10 in Swift Current. Uranium City 1, Buffalo Narrows 0. Sunny in Peace River at 4, Grand Prairie 7. Lethbridge 12, Medicine Hat 11. 8 in Kamloops, Campbell River 7. 7 in Prince Rupert, Sandspit 7. Old Crow -17, Dawson -14. -5 in Yellowknife, Wrigley, sunny and -9. Fort McPherson -7, Colville Lake -8. -1 in Baker Lake, Chesterfield 0. And Arctic Bay -15, Resolute -16. New reporting by the Investigative Journalism Foundation and investigative journalist Patty Sontag has uncovered even more concerning details about Ottawa's Indigenous procurement program. Billions of dollars in federal contracts meant to support Indigenous businesses across the country are actually flowing to 24 firms in the Ottawa region. A joint IJF, First Nations University of Canada and APTN News investigation has found. Sontag's previous reporting on the Indigenous Procurement Initiative led to a Liberal cabinet minister's resignation and exit from politics. We recently spoke to Patty Sontag. Here's that interview. Patty Sontag, thanks for joining us. You've been on this file for a while now. Can you tell us about your latest reporting and what you found with Ottawa's Indigenous procurement process?
So we're talking about the procurement strategy for Indigenous businesses. And this allocates 5% of all goods and services that the federal government buys. It has to buy from Indigenous owned and controlled businesses. And so what we found is that more than 60% of those funds are staying in the Ottawa area, going to like about 24 companies. And so out of those, when I say those funds, I mean 60% of $1 billion every year. So that's quite a bit. And the rest of the country, so Saskatchewan, Manitoba, you know, either any way you go, are just getting a few percentage points of that total. So just a tiny bit. So it shows that there's a real difference between where the contracts are going. They're mostly staying in Ottawa.
First Nations, Métis and Inuit leaders have been questioning whether the program is actually benefiting Indigenous businesses for decades. Patty, are you able to say what is being done to ensure it is in the fact Indigenous businesses getting these contracts?
Well, that process is up in the air right now of verifying which companies are Indigenous. So right now, it's Indigenous Services Canada that does that verification. But Minister Gull Masti and her team are looking into handing that over to Indigenous control. We don't really know more than that.
As pointed out in your reporting, there is going to be a major surge in spending by the federal government on major projects. Do you expect this pattern of Ottawa area businesses benefiting to continue?
Well, I can't predict either way, but Veldon Coburn, who is a professor here at, or associate professor at McGill University, did say that he was concerned that that's exactly what's going to happen, yeah.
And as mentioned, Patty, you've been working on these Indigenous procurement stories for a while now. Is there more of these stories to come?
Yeah, there is. I think this is going to be one of the files I and other journalists will be looking at for quite a while. You know, it came up with GC Strategies and the ArriveCan scandal, but there's a lot more to unpack and think about when we think about federal contracting, especially since we are going to see this major surge in contracting.
And for our viewers, you can read more about this story by going to our website at aptnnews.ca. Patty, thanks for speaking with us, and thank you for all of your reporting on this.
Thanks so much for having me.
And that's your noon show for this Monday, November 10th. We're back again for your evening show with more stories. Please join us then. From all of us at APTN National News, hi miigwech masicho kwana. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again. Ekse.